What's going on, guys? It's Chuck Kidwell. So, why do I think I deserve the toolbox? I've spent a couple weeks thinking about this, and frankly, I don't know who deserves the toolbox. What I do know is where I'm headed in life, and that is an old school machinist. You know, the kind that can draw it, weld it, bend it, machine it, CNC, manual, whatever, you know, doesn't matter. CMM, radial arm drill presses, horizontal lathe or mills, well, lathes for that matter, lathes for that matter. I intend to run everything. You know, I've been a landscaper the majority of my life. My dad bought me a welder when I was young, and I came home from work every day and sat down and played with that welder until I could make something stick together. And then I got into just general metal fabrication, you know, building some tire racks and fish tank stands and, you know, things like that for friends, you know, not making any money off of it, just essentially playing around. And then we bought these little dune buggies, and I decided I was going to do something with the dune buggies. Here, we'll show you right there. There's the my little purple one. Everything from the bulkhead, everything from that bulkhead right there, forward, 8 arms, everything I built. The roll cage, light rack, and as you can see, this is built by a guy who didn't have a tube bender at the time, because I had to cut the bends out of other pieces of material, you know, and I partly learned to weld on that thing, so it's got a lot of crappy looking welds, but it's a fun little toy. While I was building that, I came into, you know, dune buggy forums and things of that nature. Guys like Proto Die and Yoshi, and these guys were plasma cutting these whole front and rear suspension clips. I mean, they made the whole buggy, but you could buy front and rear suspension clips. So I started looking up, how are they cutting this crap out? CNC plasma table, wouldn't you know? So I said, well, you know what? Maybe I need to start learning a little bit about this stuff. I didn't even know what a mill or a lathe was at the time. This was when I was probably about 6 years ago. So I started doing the YouTube searches and looking and seeing this stuff, and it was just amazing to see that torch just run around that sheet of metal. I mean, it just blew my mind. Then I started having to buy bungs for my A-arms, for my heim joints to thread into, and then you buy the heim joints, and now you need high misalignment spacers to go into the heim joints. So I start looking at this crap, you know, talking about $5, $10 a piece. How does this stuff get made? Where does it come from? So I started looking this up. You know, and these guys are turning out on the lathe. Wow, what is this? A solid piece of metal, and you can make something. So I decided, well, maybe I need these machines, right? So before I buy these machines, maybe I should learn how to use them. So I signed up for night class. Well, that teacher, he's a genius. You know, I mean, I got more respect for that man than probably any other man I've ever met in my life outside of my father. That man is a genius when it comes to materials. Whatever it is you need done, that man can do at his shop. And that's my phony genius. You know, I still cut the man's grass just so I can stay in his face on the off chance that him and his partner will need someone around the shop, you know, organized. I don't care what I'm doing, just because the knowledge you can absorb from a man like that. So, which that's the man I intend to be in the future. And I told him that when we first met. I need to learn everything that you know. He kind of chuckled, but I think he knows I'm serious by now. Might take me 60, 70 years, but at some point, that's the man that I intend to model myself after in terms of a machinist. You know, and then I joined the class, you know, and I started running the manual machines. My wife gave me $1,500 from the income tax to play with, so I bought this old 1959 Bridgeport, cleaned it up, and a little 9x20 import lathe that's such a pain in my neck, but I get it done, right? So then the teacher quit. I got a job in a cylinder head shop, running the lathe, the mill, cutting cylinders, or cutting the valves and all of that good stuff, knocking out the valve guides. I mean, I was their little what they call the machinist, which I refuted because I'm not certainly no machinist. That's a title that is reserved for certain people, in my opinion. And finally we got another teacher. I tried to sign up for an apprenticeship on the coast. I'd had to drive 2 counties over to go to the school, but we finally got a teacher here. I signed back up for the school. Now we're doing the CNC things of that nature, and the bug is it's taking a hold. I've come to terms with the fact that this is where I should have been years ago. This is what I'm good at. This is what I have a passion for. Once I learned that I could just draw what I wanted using SolidWorks or anything, I can learn to use whatever I needed to use. Currently I'm using SolidWorks. I've used DraftSight before. I've used EasyCam for some really basic 2D drawings, or 2.5D rather. You're drawing in 2D though. But once I learned that I could draw, come up with my own blueprints, once I figured out how to use CAM, oh good night. The possibilities are limitless. You just have to do it. The first thing the teacher told us the first day was, if you can dream it, you can build it. All you have to do is envision it. You just have to. If you want it, just make it. You know what I'm saying? That's the point, right? That's why we're all here, right? The machinists, to some degree, make the world go round. Well, to a large degree, there would be nothing in this world if it weren't for machinists, and that's who I intend to be. Machinists to me are some kin to a doctor. They're and maybe I put a little more on their shoulders than there ought to be, but they're some kin to a doctor. They're brain surgeons of materials. They make your dreams and fantasies. They make your realities come to life. There would be no brain surgeons if it wasn't for the machinists and the mold makers and even the designers, for that matter, coming up with these parts and these designs and making it happen. Not to take anything from a brain surgeon, because they're certainly far smarter than I am. But I think we all get the point, because we all have a passion for what we're doing, right? Maybe maybe I'm older than most of these guys, and maybe these guys are way smarter than I am. Maybe they're headed the same place, only faster than I am. I don't know. What I do know is I'm an exceptionally confident individual, and I believe that confidence is tool number 1. A wise man once said, and I'm paraphrasing, I could be a little off on the quote, but any mistakes made through audacity can be corrected through further audacity. If you think you can, and you know you can, well, you can, because no man has superpowers, right? Anything I can do, you can do. Anything you can do, I can do. It's a learning curve away, and I'm exceptionally good at learning. When I have a passion for something, I will learn it. There's nothing that can't be learned, at least not by me. I put no boundaries in front of me. I know where I'm going. My vision is clear, and I'm headed there. The only question remaining right now, who's going to give me the machines and the resources to develop the future machinist that I will be? And if no one's going to give me that resource, a used Hoss is only 20 grand. I can finance that. That's a car payment, right? So the end result for me, I know where I'm going. Yeah, there's no question there. I will be a machinist. There may be a question whether I'll just have a shop at home like Adam Booth, or whether I'll just go full bore by myself, like the teacher, like my very first teacher. But regardless, the end result's the same. I will be a true to life, old school machinist, not an operator, not decent on a mill, not okay on a lathe, not totally confused about hardening materials or the structures, or None of that. I want to be able to do molds. I want to. I want to do my own casting, my own foundry. You name it. That's the type of dude I want to be at some point. That old guy who can just do just about any dang thing that needs to be done around the house, around the shop, for your friend, for your neighbor. Build something for your kid, your grandkids. That's going to be Chuck. So, as far as hobbies go, basically I wake up at 5 in the morning, jump on the computer, either work on a CAD program, CAM program, read my Peter Smith CNC programmer's book, or any number of other resources. I watch YouTube, although my YouTube watch has been restricted a little bit since we went back to school full time. Because I go to school all day, every day. You know, I leave for school at 7 in the morning. I tow my landscape trailer with me. I leave school, go out, cut grass. So I'm a little behind on my YouTube watching, but I mean, what can you do, right? Priorities. So my hobby's pretty much learning, you know, hanging out with my wife and son. Usually on a Sunday, that's the day that we get to run around. So what would a toolbox full of tools mean to me? Well, I mean, I got some tools. I don't have a whole lot of tools, but I got some tools. Most of them I bought, and, you know, some mixed lot of junk. It's got nuts and bolts and little rods that somebody tried to turn on. It might have a little, you know, caliper, you know, whatever in the box. But I mean, honestly, since going back to school, I mean, I have to pay these folks cash because I get zero financial assistance. I've had to cut 80% of my workload just to have the time to actually go to school. So I mean, any help for me is that's a blessing. I mean, shoot, anything. A hook scale would I mean, I've got a hook scale, but it's so old and ragged you can't see the numbers from 1 to 2. So if it's over 3 inches, I'll probably be all right. But you know, so I mean, yeah, I could use it just as much as anyone else. I mean, I got my old mill or whatnot, and I got a few bits to go with it. My dad bought me a cheap Harbor Freight toolbox, but you put more than 3 end mills in it and the bottoms start to fall out. But it gets the job done for right now, right? I mean, what can you do? So, I mean, yeah, I imagine it'd mean as much to me as it would to anybody else having some tools. And on the other side of that coin, any tools I don't need, well, I mean, if someone needs them, take them. You know, I don't need them. You can have them because you know, we all need to pay it forward, right? I mean, there's no sense in hoarding stuff you don't need just to have it. I mean, give it to a guy who could use it. And there's plenty of guys out there. There's plenty of students around everywhere that could use anything from a cheap pair of calipers to a set of gauge blocks. I mean, anything's a help to a guy when they're making a career change, I guess you could say, you know, which is where I'm at in life. I mean, once I'm done with school, it's basically going to be start my life over, and I graduate in January, so I got a couple months before I'm done, but essentially that's where I'm going to be at. You know, I need to find a job in the career choice that I'm choosing. You know, at least that's the plan. I guess that's why I think I'm at least as good as anybody else in regards to why I should be considered for this toolbox. And I do appreciate you gentlemen's consideration, and any ladies that may be considering it as well.